After having the most profound character turnaround in the history of TV, Zuko, aka Mr. Honor, followed Team Avatar and asked to join them.
Hello, Zuko here.
After wisely dedicating an entire episode to the gang pondering over whether or not they should let Scarboy join the team, they ultimately decide yes. And what followed are the greatest, most beloved episodes of the entire series, the Zuko Fieldtrips. In each of the following 4 episodes, Zuko joins one member of the gang, Sokka, Katara, and Aang, to embark on an epic, life-changing field trip. Zuko joins Sokka on a thrilling mission to the Boiling Rock, the notorious Fire Nation prison in the middle of a boiling lake, in order to rescue Sokka's father. Zuko teams up with Aang in the Firebending Masters, as they search for the original meaning of firebending at the Sun Warrior temples. Lastly, Zuko tries to get Katara's forgiveness by finding the man who took her mother from her and the Southern Raiders. Of course, Zuko left out tough, which is pretty sad for her. Oh well. I agree to the fullest extent with the community that these episodes are some of the best in the series. But how do they rank individually? Which is the best of the 3? The Boiling Rock, the Firebending Masters, or the Southern Raiders? Before we do that, these videos are really enjoyable to make, but it's also a lot of time and effort. What makes it worthwhile is your support, which really has been nothing short of amazing. So please give this video a like, comment your ranking of the Zuko Fieldtrips below, and subscribe to All About Avatar. Having said that, let's rank the Zuko Fieldtrips. Number 3. The Boiling Rock. So I ranked these 2 parts together as I really think they are one story, though to be fair, the second part is a lot better than the first part. Having lost at the invasion, Sokka's father Hakoda is sent to the highest security prison, the Boiling Rock of the Fire Nation. So, with the invasion being Sokka's plan and all, he's kinda like,
I have to regain my honor.
And Zuko's over there like, trust me, I know what you mean. So they go to the prison, and from start to finish, this 2-parter is so engaging. I don't care that maybe their plan is way too high risk, it's awesome. First off, Zuko has the coolest energy with Sokka. These characters are so fleshed out by now that they can just put them in the same room, or in this case, Aurora Balloon, and they vibing, bouncing off each other, and of course that gives us this masterpiece.
My first girlfriend turned into the moon. That's rough, buddy.
So, when we get to the prison, they first go with the cooler plan, which is just so freaking awesome and so engaging, and Sokka can unleash his strategic thinking abilities. But they also didn't find Hakoda, Sokka's dad. Of course, then they find out that there's a new group of prisoners arriving, and Sokka's like, well, this is our chance. Should we go with the cooler, better safe than sorry, or stay on the off chance that his dad is there? And Zuko, after having seen everything in his life, is there like,
look, Sokka, you're going to fail a lot before things work out. You have to try every time. You can't quit because you're afraid you might fail.
I love that scene. Of course, the cooler plan didn't work anyway, because Denset's Chit Sang brought like 12 family members with him as a surprise. And then that finishes off the first episode. Of course, the first one is a lot of setup, but then the payoffs happen in the second part. So, starting the second episode, first we find Hakoda, Sokka's dad, and now they got a new plan. They're going with the gondola. Meanwhile, Zuko finds out the warden is May's uncle, and May is there to confront him about him breaking up through a text. And then, guess what? Azula arrives too. Everything starts going crazy from this point. The plan starts as they try to get to the gondola. From there, it's really just a tightly knit action-packed scene. They start a riot, kidnap the warden, and get to the gondola. Of course, they get caught by Ty Lee and Azula as they fight on top of the gondola. Now this fight is pretty overrated in my opinion. The best part is Suki versus Ty Lee, really. But Azula versus Zuko and Sokka is kinda awkward. Sokka of course can't really do anything with his sword because, well, it's still Nickelodeon. And the space is really small, which, I mean, could have lended itself well to an awesomely tense action scene, but really it's just a bit odd. Of course, that is all overshadowed by what happens next as we get the May and Ty Lee anime betrayal. And damn, it's good. After May saves Zuko, Azula's like, "Wah!" And May just dropped.
You miscalculated. I love Zuko more than I fear you.
The betrayal feels so epic, and it was actually foreshadowed. You could have known this was coming, but no one really did as far as I know. It's also a good moment for May, who is not the most interesting character to say the least. For me, this betrayal really is the highlight of both episodes. Overall, The Boiling Work is a really well-crafted episode. I mean, it combines action, emotion, and humor for a really memorable two-part episode and an awesome Zuko field trip. Number 2. The Firebending Masters. Zuko, having lost his rage and desire to capture Aang, can no longer firebend except for letting out unimpressive fire farts.
That one kind of felt hot.
So, Aang finally got a teacher and, well, he can't teach. So now they have to find a new source for firebending, the original source. So, naturally, they go to the nearby Sun Warrior Temple and they try to get some ancient wisdom by checking it out. Coincidentally, this is also the place where Iroh supposedly ended the last of the dragons, the original firebenders. And the best part of this episode is just Aang and Zuko vibing. It was foreshadowed that they could and would become friends, and now they are. And their dynamic is so satisfying and entertaining. Zuko actually seems kinda happy.
I'm never happy.
I said kinda, damn. Anyway, they do this ancient dragon dancing together and some weird egg pops out. What could be in there, I wonder? Of course, they touch the egg and some weird ass glue comes out and they get absolutely stuck for a while. Until, guess what? The Sun Warriors are actually alive.
Surprise, motherfucker!
So, the original Fire Boys take them to the first fire to ever exist as they teach Zuko and Aang about the original firebenders and the actual philosophy of firebending, which is that it is not just destruction, but also life. And that's just so cool to me. Moving on, Aang and Zuko have to bring a piece of the eternal fire to the Firebending Masters on top of the mountain. Well, who could that be? So they get up there and guess what? Boom! It's dragons. This is the best moment of the episode. The dragons, Ren and Shaw, are exhilarating. And then Zuko and Aang do the dragon dance with them before being engulfed in a beautifully colorful vision-inducing fire cone. Both their dancing in that scene and the subsequent judging of Ren and Shaw have some of the best cinematography in the entire series. Man, this climax is good. To top it all off, we now know that Iroh lied about ending the dragons to protect them, which is just incredible too, and it makes you like Iroh even more if that was even possible. This episode is top tier Avatar. It does everything right. The world building, the characters, cinematography, and the lore. It is simply incredible. But all that still doesn't beat the following Zuko field trip. Number 1. The Southern Raiders. In the Southern Raiders, we follow Zuko and Katara as they try to find the Fire Nation general who took Katara's mother from her. This episode is probably the darkest Avatar gets. We've seen Katara's immense grief over her mother throughout the series, but it was never more than a moment. This episode dedicates 20 minutes to what grief can do to a person. We see Katara's dark side come out, really. The main question is one of forgiving or not forgiving. And that is made so real in one of the most incredibly written conversations in Atla, where Katara and Aang talk about Katara's plan to seek out Kaya's ender.
Katara, you do have a choice. Forgiveness.
That's the same as doing nothing.
No, it's not. It's easy to do nothing, but it's hard to forgive.
It's not just hard. It's impossible.
What I like most is that here, Aang's speech about forgiving the ender of Katara's mother doesn't work at all. Not to say that it is bad advice, it is perhaps even the right thing to do, but that is not what Katara needs right now, and Zuko actually understands that. Zuko grasps that sometimes you learn by doing and finding out right and wrong by throwing yourself out there in the dark. I just think that is really nuanced and really well written too. Anyway, so Zuko and Katara start their mission first encountering the wrong guy. One of the moments that is so subtle but so effective is when we see Katara bloodbend the Fire Nation general, thinking it's him, something she vowed to never do again. Her grief leads her to negate her own morals. And Zuko, who of course has never seen bloodbending, is just there like,
Excuse me, what the fuck?
Realizing they got the wrong guy, we move to the climax of the episode, where Katara finds Yon-Ra. She confronts him as the rain starts to pour, and what follows is just the most heartbreaking scene ever. Katara, filled up with rage, monologues about that one day that traumatized her forever. Through flashbacks, we find out her mother protected her by sacrificing herself.
She was protecting the last waterbender.
What? Who?
Me!
And then, she doesn't end Yon-Ra. Back at the camp, we find Katara contemplating what this means for her. The question of forgiving or not forgiving is actually not even answered. Katara did not get her revenge, neither did she forgive him. It is just so incredibly nuanced, adult, and real. Her field trip didn't make her forgive Yon-Ra, but it did make her forgive Zuko, which still gives us a somewhat nice note to end the field trip on. The episode The Southern Raiders is easily top 5 Atla episodes for me. The way it handles such heavy themes in a nuanced and mature way is really impressive. And the episode keeps you glued to the screen the entirety of the 20 minutes that it runs. Anyway, that was my ranking of the Zuko Fieldtrips. Do you agree? What is your ranking of the Zuko Fieldtrips? I'm eager to know your thoughts in the comments. Like the video, please subscribe to help my newly born Avatar channel grow, and have a good one. See ya.